Hey there, welcome to Board Game Hot Takes. My name's Tim.
And this is Chris.
This is Adam.
And tonight we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite games that we suck at. We're going to be talking about games that we love, but we can't seem to win at all. Now, we had a different topic in mind tonight. Yesterday, the voting for the Board Game Geek Golden Geek Awards closed, and we were all excited to see who won, see how the runners-up were, and talk through that list tonight. And they didn't give us the results yet, so we don't know that at this point, but we do have a poll related to awards instead. So we'll kick off with that, and then we'll get into our top 5 games that we are really terrible at. So the poll question I asked this week was, have you ever purchased a board game because it won a prominent award? The options I gave on the poll, yes, got 14%, might have influenced my purchase, got 17%, piqued my interest in the game, got 47%, and no got 22%. How'd you guys answer this?
I think I put no on the actual poll, but that's kind of a lie. Piqued my interest is probably more accurate. For some of these awards, I take a look at the game, and some of them, more, especially more recently, the Spiel des Jahres, the ones that comes to mind. None of those games have really clicked for me or been something that I've been overly interested in as far as I can remember. So the more and more these award shows goes on, I'll take a look. Not award show, the awards are given. I'll take a look, and then I'm sure there's some out there that apply to me and really fit the type of games that I'm looking for, but I don't think there's any out there that I'm really like, oh, look at this one, won the award that I really, really care about. So I'm going to go check it out, and it's a must buy. But yeah, they'll spark my interest. I'll take a little peek and see what they have out there, and at least take a gander. That's how I feel about these awards.
Yeah, and my answer is about the same as Adam's. I might get my interest piqued by a game that sounds interesting to me otherwise and also won an award. But the reality is I don't track the awards that much. So I'm not even sure which games are getting nominated, which games are winning. Honestly, the thing that I'm most likely to be swayed by that's going to get my attention is if something is on the hotness on BGG, or if it gets a high rating on BGG. That's a lot more likely to make me interested in a game than some award.
I'm right along with you guys and with the plurality of listeners who responded to these polls. I've had my interest piqued mainly just if I see something show up on a couple of awards, even if it was something I wasn't that interested in, I might pay a little more attention to it. I might go watch a playthrough video or something like that and say, oh, a lot of people are loving this. I'm a big believer that if the majority of people like something, then it's probably got some pretty interesting stuff going on and it's worth checking out. So it'll pique my interest. And I don't think I've ever bought a game just because I won an award. In fact, I'm positive I haven't, but it may have led to the ultimate decision just by introducing me to it a little bit more. Here's how some of our listeners responded on this. Chris said, Hansa Teutonica, saw the big box cheap on some site and all the awards and praise on podcast top 10 list convinced me. Now, if I can only convince my gaming group to try it, on my shelf it sits, proudly proclaiming 2010 Golden Geek Game of the Year.
I feel you, Chris, from the internet. I had the same issue going. I think my Hansa Teutonica big box is over here with all the great maps and the great gameplay and the old disgusting art. I can't get these guys to play it, so what are we going to do?
Hansa Teutonica. That's a game that deserves to be sitting on the shelf.
Oh,
I'm being sassy, and it's just not my favorite.
I'm hoping that I get to try that with Adam. I want to try his big box this summer. We'll see if we can get that one played.
Everyone's wanting to try my big box.
I like big box, and I cannot lie.
Alexander said, I rely more on games introduced by friends or other recommendations than awards these days. If a game has awards, I feel good for the creators to be recognized, but it doesn't mean I'll enjoy the particular game, or more importantly, I'll ever get it played with my family or game group. Tyler said, the only one would have been Ark Nova that I was slightly late to the party on. I would say content creators' interests plays would be the key reason why I purchase a lot of my games, which is a little different than I think awards, but fair enough. I mean, somebody asked us on one of these social media posts, they said, you guys should have a Game of the Year awards. I was like, we do every year. It's just we don't take it very seriously. So you probably shouldn't either. And then Justin said, I've purchased many games that later won awards, and I've definitely given games a second look after they've won awards, but I generally know whether I'll buy a game based on seeing reviews and watching gameplay videos, and I'm much more influenced by BGG ranks and ratings than awards they've won. So yeah, I think that it seems like most of our listeners are fairly aligned with us on this point. All right, well, let's jump into our feature topic tonight, kind of off the cuff, something we surprised ourselves by bringing to the table at the last minute tonight. So we'll see how this comes together. The topic is top 5 games that we suck at. So I wanted to talk about some games that I keep going back to because I love them, but I can't seem to win. I'm really interested on a couple of these. if you guys are going to give me some tips, help me figure out how to win tonight. But I think it's interesting that winning a game doesn't necessarily make it a fun game for me. I can really enjoy games that I just can't seem to wrap my head around the strategy with. How did you guys feel about this topic? I'll just leave it at that. How do you guys feel about that topic?
I had about 30 minutes. I had about 30 minutes to think about this topic, Tim. I'm still deciding how I feel about it. When you put it out there, I thought it was pretty interesting. I had top 5 games that, or whatever you say, top 5. I just try to find some games that match the category and find something clever to say about them. But I thought it was interesting. There are a few games out there that I know that I love and enjoy, and I'm just not good at, and I don't get it. Like, am I ever going to get good at them? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to keep playing them because I think they're great games, and the feelings they evoke are fantastic. So I think it's a fun category. If you're playing in a good game group with 4 people, you're probably only going to win averages. Say you're going to win 1 out of every 4 games. So you got to be able to enjoy losing and just enjoy the game and the company for what it is. And I think that's a great part of the hobby, and something that everyone should be ready to do is have fun even when you're losing.
Yeah, you said top 5, and I was thinking, how am I going to narrow it down to just 5?
Yeah.
For me, honestly, I'm just not really that good at games. I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm okay. But I'm not the guy who comes to game night and you assume he's going to win. I mean, we all have somebody like that in our game groups that we know. That's the guy who's usually going to win, or that's the gal who's usually going to win. And that's not me. I'm just don't have those skills. So what I had to do on this list to make it make sense to me was to narrow it down by saying not just games that I don't usually win at. These are games that I truly am bad at. Like most of them were games that I've never actually won a game at. Maybe there's a couple of them where there was a game or two that I've won, but almost always lose, like routinely lose. And yet still keep coming back to because I love them. So in that sense, it's sort of like the abusive relationship episode. This game keeps beating me over the head, and yet I keep coming back because I love it so much, which sounds very unhealthy, but it makes for, I think, some amusing analysis.
In the case of relationships, it is very unhealthy. In the case of games, I think it's completely fine. Well, let's start with, did you make the list in any order, or are you just jumping in with first thing you thought of?
I am trying to make this list in order of fun things to talk about. So I've slipped some, my boring stuff usually goes in the middle of these lists. I try to open with a banger and close with a banger. And then the middle ones I have in the middle.
No particular order.
All right. Well, let's just jump in with number 5, Adam.
All right. My number 5 here is a game that you guys are very good at. And well, I'll just say it's Tapestry. It's the Stonemaier games. This is a game that you guys have a lot of experience. It's always high on your list of games that you love. Do I love this game? I'm still on the fence about it. But, the more I play it, the more I'm enjoying it. But I can't even come close to winning this game. I don't think I've ever not finished last by like 50 points in this game. You guys are always up around 300 points, exploring space. You're off into different solar systems and galaxies. And I'm getting toppled by Chris on my home little hexagon over there. And I have all these cards I haven't used. I haven't done any of the science stuff. There's like a science circle and a science triangle. I don't know what to do with that stuff. I have like a typewriter, and you guys are in spaceships, and I'm just getting my butt kicked. Tapestry is just an enigma for me, and it's cool. There's a lot going on. There's all kinds of different puzzles, and I'm bad at every single one of them. Tapestry, a game I enjoy. I don't know if I would say I love it. A game I enjoy. Maybe I'll learn to love it one day if I play enough with you guys, but I am incredibly bad at.
For some reason, I was thinking that you didn't even like Tapestry, Adam. So now I know to invite you to more games. Tim and I play this one on almost constant rotation. Yeah. It's probably, for me, the closest thing that I can think of that's a game where I'm actually pretty good at. Like, I usually win about as many games as I lose. And in fact, Tim and I have played this so many times. And usually our ELO rankings on BGA, where we play it a lot, are within a point or two of each other. We keep swapping back and forth. And our win percentage, which I've been tracking, is just about 50-50. So it's nice. It's a brutal competition.
Just about, Chris, but which one of us is in the lead there? It's got to be you.
It depends on what time you were talking about today. This morning it was me, then this afternoon it was you.
Oh, wow, we are that close. Okay, that's awesome. That's funny. This game has such a wide variance in your scoring possibility, but what's interesting about it, and a lot of people will tell you, or a lot of the criticism I've heard about it is that it's too luck-based. It doesn't matter if you get the right cards, you're going to win this game. But as Adam mentioned, there is definitely a skill level that you'll gain in this, because Chris and I are very competitive at this. but there's very few people that are playing this for the first half a dozen times. They will have a shot at being where we are with it. So I think the claim that it's all luck based is it's fun that there's an opportunity for somebody new to do some crazy cool things and maybe score high, but it's not as likely that you're going to do well as people that are experienced with it.
I'm sure you guys could give me the most overpowered with quotes faction, and I'd still come in dead last by like 100 points against you guys.
So my number 5, this is my one cheat. I'm going to put 2 games here because I have trouble with them for similar reasons. One of them is Space Base, designed by John D. Clare and published by AEG. And the other is Nidavellir, designed by Serge Leggett and published by, is that GRE or GRRE Games? I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those two. These are both games that I enjoy a great deal. Space Base is this super neat engine builder. One of the, you roll dice and then everybody gets something by picking the cards, by buying new cards to add to your base. You keep your ships that you can add to your base. You keep building up your engine, and then the better your engine is, the better the rolls get for you. And so it's just pure engine building, light, sweet, fun. Nidavellir is very different from a gameplay perspective. On that one, it's this little auctioning game where each turn you're taking your coins and bidding for these dwarfs to go fight a dragon in 3 different taverns. And then you get points by building up your tableau. And every time you get a certain number of dwarves in your tableau, you get a benefit of a champion. So really cool games, really simple games. Both of them are light midweight games. But here's the thing. The reason why I stink at these games so bad is that there's like some magic trick that it just seems to escape me. And it's not like, Adam, you were saying there's all kinds of intricacies in Tapestry that, you haven't quite figured out yet. I don't feel like that's the case here. I mean, these are simple, basic games. It's not like I don't think there's some deep strategy that I'm just not picking up on. I feel like I get it. And yet I jump into these games. These are both games that I have running almost on constant rotation on BGA. And yet for both of these, I think Nidavellir, I might have won once. I think it was playing against you guys. And Space Base, I don't think I've ever won a game. And it's like the people who are winning them have some kind of arcane knowledge. Like I'll have 100 points and they'll have like 250 points. And I'm like, I thought I was doing great. I don't know. Maybe if someone just told me the secret, all you need to do is this, maybe that would solve my problem. But I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. And I feel so sad and helpless. And yet I love these games so much that I just keep coming back and failing over and over and over again.
Chris, I wish I could help you. I have the in a 4-player game, I have the 25% win rating on these. I feel like they're so luck focused, even though they have fun choices in them. I feel like it can be just the roll of the dice, literally in Space Base, that gives you the win on it. So I can't help you there, but good luck.
These are fun picks, Chris. I am just as bad at both of these games as you are. I don't know what's going on. Space Base, all I have to use is the 1s, 2s, 3s, the single die numbers. That's it. And then you win. Nope. I'm constantly in last place. Somebody's always getting these giant 50-point little rocket ship cards at the end. And I'm just like, I'll take this 12.1 over here. And then Nidavellir is just a mystery to me too. I'm going to take these brothers that give you a bunch of points, or, clearly the orange one that goes up by x to the 3rd power, x squared and blah, blah. Nope. With all my math undergrad degree, nothing helps me come close in these games.
Well, and the funny thing about Space Base is that in one of our episodes, Tim was talking about how, there's sort of 2 different kinds of cards. There's the basic ones that give you some kind of a benefit. And then there's these other ones that you can charge by putting a little cube on, and then you get to take it off at some point and do all these wacky things. And some of them let you swap cards. And Tim, you said something like, I don't even do that. I just play what seems right to me. And I win a lot of the time because I just play the basic cards. And I was like, that's all I need to do. And so I started doing it and I got crushed every time. So that was a horrible strategy.
Sorry. All right. So my list is full of games that I have played dozens of times and I always want to go back and play them some more. Except for the number 5 on my list. This one is the hardest one for me to say I love it because I have such a tough relationship with it. And this is Barrage. Barrage is a game that I keep getting invited to and I just can't wrap my head around how to do well at this game. It always feels like I'm stuck, unable to do anything. There will be rounds where I haven't run a single water drop through my dams or infrastructure or anything because I just can't seem to get the money that I need to get the right infrastructure built, or my workers are all stuck in my wheel and I can't get them moving around. This game is just an enigma to me, but it's still got some fun, clever mechanisms that I want to keep going back to it, kind of, but it's starting to get painful. I played this not only with you guys a lot, as well as listeners that have invited me to games, as well as my local group of friends, and I just have like ongoing running games of this, and I'm consistently last place. I don't think I've ever taken better than last place in Barrage. So at some point we might do an episode that's like tips on some of our favorite games. And I'm going to ask, I'm waiting for Adam to share his strategy because he kicks my butt at this game. He's like the best person I've seen play this so far. Yeah, I'm terrible at it. I kind of like it. I think it's cool. It hurts.
Tim, this game's weird because it seems like one that you should be way better at than I am. It seems like your type of game. There's all these like combos you unlock and you do things in the right order. And you guys claim that it's worker placement. I argue that it's like a action point worker designation, resource allocation, whatever. But yeah, this game, there's a couple tricks that I do. I can share with you whenever you want, if you ever want me to share them with you, that I kind of look out for. But I love this game, just the combinations, being able to, unlock that third powerhouse and do some of those little trickeries with each of those factions. That's pretty neat. And then being able to combo up the contracts. I look for the contracts that always build buildings. Seems to be pretty key. I'm sure there's tons of strategies. There's a lot better players than me at this game, but that's funny. You are pretty bad at this one, too.
And this is a game that I consider myself fairly bad at, but not terrible. So I didn't put it on this list. But I always feel like I don't do well at this game because I don't have the patience to think through every turn. I have this grand strategy, and then, a lot of the times I'm playing it on BGA, so I'll log in, 4 or 5 hours later, completely forgotten what I was going to do. So I just look at it and go, this looks cool, and go do it. And then that was the wrong move. So
it is a game I'd like to get back to in person because I think I struggle with that a little bit online too. With games that are really deep strategy and I haven't wrapped my head around how to work them yet. It's a lot harder for me to kind of puzzle through those without having it physically in front of me. So we played this once in person together in Long Beach a couple of years ago. Friend of the show, Josh Drake, had recommended we get the expansion. It was such a critical thing to add to the game. So we got the expansion, and it was like not even playing the same game. Sorry, Josh. Him and I had a little bit of a argument about this at BGGCon last year. I want to play this some more in person. So maybe Adam, how's this 2-player, Adam? Do you like this 2-player, or do you think it's way better or 3?
It's great 2-player. Yeah, Chris and I would spar back and forth on this one a bunch. That's how we kind of sharpened our claws here. We just went back and forth. We were both horrible, and we'd get 70 points, 80 points, and then we started getting 100 plus each time and really going after each other. For a while, we were going back and forth, and Chris and I haven't played head to head lately, but Chris took the last 4-player game of this one.
That was pretty shocking.
Well, maybe I'll have to be your Padawan learner this summer. Adam, we can try a couple games together. You can teach me your tricks.
Let's do it. Up next for me is one we've played recently. This is Apiary by Connie Vogelman. I played this game, only twice, so I can't say I'm incredibly bad at it, but when I've played with you guys, I've gotten slaughtered. And I think the trick is to start at the end with those carved tiles and work your way backwards from there. Maybe that's one of the tricks, but you guys are the masters of doing this efficiently and effectively, just like a colony of bees in space might do, whereas I am like a colony without a queen, and I'm just flying around doing actions that seem cool, and that maybe I'm trying to work on my farm over here and then build that up, and I'm just moseying around and meandering this calm sort of Euro stream where I think this game is laid back and casual, but it's not at all. It's really kind of a race. Those little majority regions are going to fill up quick down there, and that's what triggers the game end. And by then you have to have your bees all rotated and super powerful 4 bees grabbing these great positions up there. I don't know how to do that at all. You guys were really masters at it when we played this up in Big Bear. That was fun to see. I want to go back to this one because it's such a cool game and a cool theme. Lots of mechanisms here that are really sort of showing themselves to me. So Apiary is one I want to go back to that I'm quite bad at.
Adam's feeling like he's the bee colony in space that's got the galactic smoke pot that's been sprayed on them. It makes the bees all kind of lethargic and Not very busy.
Apt description, Chris. Yes.
We've all seen that, right? You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy.
I know what you're talking about.
He just went deep on the theme of Adam losing the Space Bee game. So.
Yeah, that was great. Thematic as always, Chris. I love it.
All right. My number 4 is a game that is well loved by at least one other person on this podcast and well unloved by the other. And that is Castles of Burgundy, designed by Stefan Feld and published by Ravensburger. Castles of Burgundy is sort of the opposite of Nidavellir and Space Base in that I don't really feel like I have a clue what the strategy is here. In those games, I felt like they're relatively simple. I get the strategy. I'm just doing it wrong or something's not clicking. In this one, I feel like there are so many opportunities to score points, so many different directions you can go. I don't even know where to start making my strategy. And I try different things every time. It's crazy. I'll be like, oh, I just want to get all my castles out really fast. Or I just want to make a lot of money fast by putting out my mines. Or I want to do all of this, or I want to do that. And I get crushed every time. I think this one I've played a couple dozen times, several dozen times, and I think I've won one game. And usually it's not by a small amount. Usually it's by quite a bit. In this one, I do feel like I'm sort of a student of the game. I mean, I'm watching people playing and I'm kind of getting, what they're doing. And I just don't, I'm just not tracking it. I don't know, Tim, what is the secret? What is the first thing you should do in Castles of Burgundy?
First of all, if you ever buy a yellow tile, it better be an endgame scoring yellow tile. Don't waste your time with anything else.
Which one's the yellow? Is that the sort of beigey yellowy one, or is that the kind of greeny one, or is it the other yellowy one?
Being a jerk. The monastery tile. It's called monastery tiles in the new version, and it used to be technology tiles, I think, in the original version. But they're basically, each one has a different kind of either benefit you get for playing it, and they're all unique. But there's a whole bunch of them that give you points for having a certain number of building or a certain type of building in your duchy, and then there's ones that have like selling goods or whatever. But those really should be the only ones you ever buy. And I'll tell you that is probably 80% of my wins is that other people are not getting that end game scoring built up. So there you go, Chris. Try that next time. I've got other tips, but that'd be a good place to start.
I'm going to try that one because actually my habit has been to do exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
I go in there and I try to do a bunch of engine building by buying up all like the in-game benefit tiles.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it your way and see if I can actually put some points and a good score together like that.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. Well, my number 4 here is this is my cheat because I'm going to name 2 games, but they're basically the same game. It's the Voyages of Marco Polo and the Voyages of Marco Polo 2. 2 is basically kind of a revision on 1. So it is a different game, but it uses a lot of the same mechanisms. And for some reason, both of these games, I love them both, but I cannot seem to win them. The game it's kind of a dice placement game. You roll up a handful of dice at the beginning of the round. You're going to place them out on space on the board. If somebody else goes to that space first, you have to pay coins for the pip value of the dice you're placing. So it's a little bit like Lorenzo El Magnifico from that regard. But the whole key of it is that you're trying to travel around this map. And as you travel around, you open up new benefits, but you open up new dice placement spaces as well. And there's endgame scoring that comes from that. And so I think my problem is that I'm not good at travel. I can never seem to get more than like 5 of my little houses built around the map. And I've got a friend that I play with all the time. I play this with several groups and consistently lose. But my friend Mark, every single time we play, he's got like all 10 of his houses built around the map. And I don't even understand how you can do that. This economy's tight. It costs a lot of money to move. I can't even puzzle it out in my head how you would even possibly do that, even on an exceptional game. So in any case, I'm bad at it, but I love this game. I like the first one is very streamlined to me. It feels like an old school Euro, and it kind of is. It's now coming up on 10 plus years old, but it's pretty simple to get into with difficult strategy. The second one adds a bunch of little levers and mechanisms and different resource types. It makes it a little bit more modern Euro feel, but also has some of the same, takes away some of the tightness of the economy, but adds some mechanisms, and they both are super fun to play. So great games, but I'm just not good at them.
Tim, for Marco Polo, like you were saying, that travel, I can't get anywhere. I'm stuck in Venezia. I can maybe go like 2 or 3 spots away. And then I'm just like, what's the rest of this board even here for? I don't even know how to get over there. It's impossible. So I feel your pain on that one. This is a game I think I could love too if I could ever figure out how to explore the rest of the game board.
Yeah, it was so funny that you said that about the travel because, so many games, there's like it's so hard to blank, insert whatever the thing is about that game, and that everybody knows that's the problem with that one is that if you can't do this thing, you can't win, and it's really hard to do that thing. Well, in Marco Polo, it is clearly the travel market or the travel economy, whatever you want to call it, is so tough in this game. I can totally understand why that's a problem for you.
Well, and the funny thing is when I taught you guys this and we did a review of it, Adam won that night pretty handily, I remember, and you barely traveled. He just did tons of contracts. But I've tried that. That doesn't work for me. My friend that wins all the time is doing contracts and traveling. So somehow he's pulling it all together and just planning better than I am, I guess. Maybe that's the key. Maybe you got to like fill contracts, get the rewards from the contracts so that you can travel. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Up next for me is Underwater Cities. This is a game by Vladimir Suchi. So this is a game you introduced to me, Tim, and I think it's great. I love the idea of kind of like Dune Imperium. You have your cards in your hand, you try to match them to that space. We've talked about this. If you don't have to use the card to match the worker placement submarine door space that you're going to, but then you forego the little bonus either on the space or the card. I forget which way. But anyway, if you match them, you get the bonus. There's no way I'm not going to match. I want to get the little bonus. I have to do it. So I try to find the best little matching stuff that gives me some cool benefits. But then I'm just lost on my player board. I don't know which city to do first. Should I do a little red capped dome city? Should I do a white cap one? Oh, should I do a super bridge? Should I upgrade this? I get so confused. Am I going to double up on this little thing over here? Whoops, I did that wrong. There's a lot going here on your player board in Underwater Cities where you're building. You start in the top, in the bottom right, and you expand up and out and diagonally from there. And as you're going, you're building these little, I don't know, what are they, farms? Or you're adding on to the outskirts of your city, and there's a bonus spot you can do. So there's actually a lot going on. And I think I just get confused and overwhelmed by the right way to do that. There's probably a certain way to unlock the benefits that gives you the most stuff so you can do even more stuff as your turn's going on. But this one has always just been a perplexment to me. I think Tim destroys me by upwards of, if he doubles up on my score, he's starting to lap me. He's got scuba divers that are just like pointing at me as I'm like going for the surface. So I have the bends. And Underwater Cities, a cool game, but I am just not good at this one.
I don't know if perplexement is a word or not, but if it's not, it ought to be.
It is now.
Okay, I got to jump in here because I got a crossover with Adam, and this is my number 3. And I think Adam the bends gave him some memory loss because I don't think I ever beat you that much on this game. In fact, this is one of my favorite games, probably the highest ranked game on this list for me. And I can't seem to win it ever. I'm always taking last place in it. I think it's the same reason you did. So maybe we just need to play against each other because we'd be evenly matched.
There you go. Well, I think that's what happens. I'm the one person that makes you feel good about playing this game.
But I think I do the same thing. I always get my attention's drawn by these shiny objects of getting to play this card that matches this other thing. So I'm not doing what I should be doing. I'm doing just what's making fun combos go together. So fun game, but I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, my gut tells me I'm really bad at this one too, but I haven't played it enough to really draw a scientifically conclusive determination on that point.
All my picks here are very scientifically proven, so I'm glad you're not just speculating on your picks.
Scientifically proven that I suck at the games that I'm listing. We have data to prove it. And speaking of data, the data for game number 3 is that it is Eclipse Second Dawn for the Galaxy, designed by Tuco Takokallio and published by Lautapellet.fi. Another game that we've played a whole bunch, and I haven't played outside of our group. So all the plays I have are plays that I've played with you guys and with Steve. This is one where I can proudly say I have never actually won a game. As much as I love it, as much as this is a game that I think comes out nearly every con that we've had. It didn't come out at Big Bear, but I think all the others we've gotten this game out. It's a regular. I think all 3 of us really, really like Eclipse Second Dawn, and all of you guys have won a game or two. Tim's got his green guy go, kind of hang out in the corner and turtle. Adam's got his, I'm going to form a, evil alliance with Steve and then crush everybody. And I flounder about a whole bunch and lose. And I think the reason for this one,
it's the dice rolls.
It's not the dice rolls. It's not even that. I wish I could blame it on the dice rolls. I know that's a thing too. I think this is sort of a symptom of a larger problem that as much as I like area control games, I just really don't have a natural predisposition toward them. I'm not good at them. And part of the reason for that is that I kind of start floundering around. I see something happening over in one spot. I'm like, okay, I got to go prep for that. And then I spend a lot of time trying to prepare to fend off Tim because I think he and his plant people are going to come and try to take me over. But then I'm spending so much time trying to, prepare for the eventuality of an attack over there that, Adam and Steve are over there, coming in from the other side. And I get so much into fortification mode in build-up mode so that I can completely eliminate any negative chance that I'm so built up that I'm going to have to win any combat that I get into, that I never actually get anywhere, that I'm never actually able to get to combat and win because you have to take chances. I feel like that's my problem with most area control games is a generally complete unwillingness to take chances and trying to be too I think it's that I'm just too conservative. I just don't want to take chances. And that's probably what it is. And that's why I end up losing a lot of these area control games. So maybe the lesson that I need to take from that is that next time we play one of these games, I'm just going to start attacking fools everywhere and see if that works any better.
I think the only way I know how to win this game is be on the opposite side of the board from Adam, because he'll inevitably come in the 7th round and start picking off my guys from the back when I was not expecting it, when he should just be minding his own business. But
that's exactly when you're supposed to pick out guys, Tim.
Now, here's my real question. Are we ever going to play Eclipse again now that Fractal's on the circuit? So I don't know if Adam's going to be pushing for it. We'll see.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I love both of these games tons, but Fractal's the new toy right now, so I'm very hot on that. But we do have the Seekers and Outcasts to try if we ever want to try orbitals that are grossly out of scale with the rest of the game. But I think you do have to be conservative at this game, Chris, and this is where I see Tim always mess up. Maybe you want to take a risk with your little interceptor and maybe take a little pot shot at some guy and try to get some points or production early on. But I don't go into any battles in general unless I am totally sure, 90% sure that I'm gonna be able to win and come out victorious, because losing your ships is just brutal in this game. You spend all this work, spend all this brown resource putting together these great ships, and if you lose those, it's crushing. You have to spend a couple of rounds recovering. So for me, I'm always just making sure my borders are well protected. And then once I've got the resource or a couple of nice planets that are going on, so I get my little empire going, and then I focus on my ships and I make sure Steve's got my back. Well, I got his back, and then we can go and sweep across the galaxy and destroy you guys.
I vow to crush all of you next time we play.
Good luck with that. Well, since my number 3 was the same as Adam's number 3, we can circle right back around to Adam.
Oh boy. Okay. Up next for me is another area control game. This is original Dune. I've talked about this a few times on the show. It was originally back in 1979. Gale Force 9 re-released this one in 2019 with the same designers, Bill Eberly, Jack Kittredge, Peter Lotka. And this is a game I've only played it, 4 or 5 times, only I think twice with a full complement of 6 asymmetric factions. And again, this is a game, it could last an hour or it could last 4 hours, tough to get to the table, but there's just a lot going on. The factions are so different, and to be good at playing any one of them, you have to give it some study or get really, really lucky, or have the guy's traitor in your hand so you can win that critical battle. But what you're trying to do, you're trying to compete. You need spice to do anything in this game. And I think I've been the Atreides who are never able to get spice. I've been the Fremen too. It seems like they should be able to, use desert power, ride the worms, get all this spice. But I feel like I never have spice with those guys either. So I'm always broke in this game, and I'm trying to do these battles. The battles are very critical in this game as well. If you mess that up, that could set you back for a few rounds. So the game is just tricky. Speaking of tricky area control, I think this might be one of the hardest to master, but also one of the most interesting, with all the complexities and the auction in the beginning of every round, the different phase structure, the storms coming after you. A lot of fun, interesting stuff going on in original Dune. If you can also straighten the rules out, which rule set are you going to use? Get that straight too, Gale Force 9. I don't know which rules I'm going to use. I think this game is tons of fun. Hopefully maybe we can play this one at BGG Con in November. I think you guys will like it. It's interesting. That's original Dune, a game I love but have never come close to winning.
This game, you're supposed to really play with 6 people, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm putting the call out right now. If you're a listener and you're going to be at BGG Con this November, we want to get a 6-player game of this in. So we need two more people to join us. You have to want to play this game. but you can't have played it a lot. I want this to be everybody coming in a little bit blindly, no experience, just playing around with it. Sounds like it could be a fun time, but I don't want to get slaughtered by somebody that's played this game 100 times.
Send in your resume.
So if you're interested in joining us and you're going to be at BGGCon, drop me an email at tim@boardgameHotTakes.com. The first 2 listeners that request it, we'll set up a game with you.
I think Andy Schwartz and one of his buddies might be in on a game. Might have to play 2 games with this one.
I got crushed by Andy Schwartz and Maracaibo the last time we played. I don't know if has he played this before? If he's played this before, I'd say no way. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's fine. Andy can come play Dune with us. All right, cool. Chris, what's your number 2?
Yeah, so my number 2 is another semi-favorite here at this particular table. My second game of the night that Tim loves and Adam hates. This is Ark Nova, designed by Matthias Wig and published by Furlan Spiel. Was that an actual UGG, Adam? Dude.
We didn't even hear that from Castles of Burgundy.
I know. Seriously. Although I remember the last time we played this, and this is live, and we were in Long Beach, and just the hatred was coming off of Adam in waves for this game. And I actually felt kind of bad for the game because Adam was hating on it so much. He was like spitting on the cards as he was looking at his tableau. No, this is a game that it's sort of a combination of the previous ones that I'd mentioned earlier, in that, like Castles of Burgundy, I feel like I'm a student of the game. I feel like I kind of get it, and I've like looked into all the different things, and there's like, get a whole bunch of association cards, and there's invest a lot in getting those conservation projects. You can do that, or you can do this, or whatever. And I also feel like there is some ingredient, like in Nidavellir and Space Base, that if someone just told me this is a thing you have to do, then I'd be able to do it. Like there's just something missing there. And I'm guessing, if I had to put a guess to it, it's probably the fact that I can't intuitively figure out how to maximize the scoring in this one. And I think that's because of this weird methodology that it has of calculating the score, where you have your popularity. Is it popularity or appeal? Your appeal.
It's appeal.
Yeah, the appeal. And what's the other one called? The one with the little
conservation.
Shield? Conservation. So your appeal and your conservation trackers are moving in opposite directions. And so what you really want to do is you want to get them really close to each other, and then send kind of both of them off in one turn, and make it this huge difference between the two of them, and that's going to be your score. And I feel like in a lot of games, I'm just cruising through there and I'm getting all these conservation points, and it's amazing, and I'm so proud of myself. Or I'm killing it on appeal points, and then whoever I'm playing against just absolutely smacks me down like I'm a little baby. Like, I think on this game, for all, the dozens of games that I've played, a lot of them on BGA, I think I may have won once or twice. And usually when I lose, it's an embarrassing loss. It's not just like, oops, a couple points, that kind of a thing. It's like, do I even know how to play this game kind of a loss? So this is another one where there's got to be some thing out there, and I'm just not seeing it. So there you go.
This is a game, Chris, that I am just dying. If you and I ever have just a weekend, the two of us together again at some point, I want to get this on the table with you. The expansion to it, add some really fun, cool stuff with it. And I don't know, something about this. You're kind of one of the first people that fell in love with Ark Nova with me. The first time we played it on Tabletop Simulator together. So I really want to get this played with you again.
Yeah, and I want to try the Marine Worlds too. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't get it. This game blew up. It's in like the top 10. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's so many other better games out there. I think part of it that the action selection is cool, but that was ripped off from this other game that was already fun before this one. I always want to do the most powerful action. I'm always going to choose that 5, just like Underwater Cities. I don't want to waste time with these 4s or below. So that's probably part of the my poorness at playing this game. I don't play it very much. So that's probably also part of it. It's on Board Game Arena, so maybe I should go back to this one, give it another go around, and see how I do. I don't necessarily hate this game. There's a few things that bug me. That overlapping Rajas of the Ganges kind of score track, that's a little frustrating for me. Just give me some points. Don't make me overlap this thing with the other thing. And then the combo that we played this 4-player in Long Beach, and it was rough because there are so many things you have to remember. Oh, you have the thing that gives you a reduced cost for this thing, which also gives you a 1 cube bonus for this other thing. And then you could pick a card from here, and then you could discard this other one. Then you get to move this guy up and upgrade this other thing and get this other science academy over in Africa, and that gives you a free cheetah. So there's a lot of things you got to remember on your turn, and watching everybody be like, wait, I forgot my thing. And Tim from 2 turns go, wait, guys, I forgot this thing. I was supposed to have an extra $1, so I get to do this. Okay, fine. Just do what you got to do. Here's my turn. I'm done. Now your turn.
I love free cheetahs. Hey, have we ever played a 3-player game of this on BGA?
I don't think so, because Adam never seemed interested. You haven't played it on BGA, have you, Adam?
I have before, but I'm ready to go back.
Okay.
I feel the need to go back to Ark Nova. I don't know why, but
I'm going to send you guys an invitation tonight for a 3-player game of this.
Perfect.
Because I feel like it's so different playing it on BGA, where the game does the computer does all the upkeep for you. So none of that nonsense we're talking about. You can't make a mistake.
Okay, isn't there also certain things you're supposed to do all the time? Like, isn't a petting zoo something you're supposed to always get super strong? Or I don't know. There's like certain things that are really good, right?
Petting zoos are for foos.
I don't know, Adam. I don't know if there's like a proven strategy on it, but I do pretty well at this game, and I think it's an interesting one. I'd be happy to talk through some decisions I'm making while we're playing it at some point and give you some advice. It's kind of like Tapestry in the fact that it can be pretty swingy, and you can have widely different scores in the game, but people who know how to play, you're just going to generally see them win. So there's definitely some skill involved with it. But I think there's a couple key tips that I can point you to if we start playing.
Okay.
So my number 2 is Yokohama. And this is a fairly recent game. We reviewed it. It was the first play when we reviewed it about 6-7 months ago. We got a chance to play it in person. A listener sent me a copy of this because it's out of print, but it is going to be coming soon in print with a new edition. But a listener sent me a copy. We played it in Sedona together, and I played it probably 15 to 20 times with my local friends, Mark and Scott, mostly on Board Game Arena. And I'm sunk every single time. They crush me every time. And even that first time when I was the one who knew it better, Chris had never played it, he still beat the pants off me in that game at Yokohama. So I am just not good at this game. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I'm filling contracts. I feel like I'm setting up my followers well. I'm building little trade houses. I'm going to the church. I'm doing everything you're supposed to do in industrialized Japan. And yet I still can't seem to win this game. So fun game though. I want to keep going back to it and keep trying it.
This is another tricky one for me too. I always feel like I get blocked out of the one spot I need to go to.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Chris is flying around the map doing anything he wants to do. Just like I don't feel like there's been 3 or 4 games lately where Chris is like, nope, I can do that. I got this card. I can do whatever I want. And then, so yeah, Chris is flying around Yokohama getting free cheetahs also.
This game is great. This is a surprise hit for me. I don't know how good I am at it. I've won a game or 2 of it, so I can't be too bad at it, I guess.
All right. The number 1 game that I love that I'm pretty bad at is, I don't even think I'm that bad at this one. I just wanted to bring it up. I'm still bitter. This is Pan Am. Tim, why did you tear this game down? Unacceptable. I cannot let this go. It's ridiculous. Chris thinks he had the lead on this one. He gave himself the win on this one.
Because I won.
On the stats app. I was going to win this one.
No,
Tim tore it down for no good reason. Unacceptable, Tim. Actually, I am pretty bad at this one. That's why I wanted to finish this game. I feel like I had a slight chance. I went back to this one because I played it with my dad and Sarah. I talked about this on one of the last episodes. I was like, oh, you got to buy stock while it's cheap, everybody. You got to buy stock while it's cheap. And then Sarah saves all her money, doesn't buy any stock until the last round, and the stock goes down to like $4. She buys slaughters me and my dad by, I don't know how many stock, 6 or 7 stock, which is unheard of in this game. She's like, Adam, this is the easiest game I've ever played. I love it. Let's play it again so I can destroy you every time. That's Pan Am, a fantastically fun game. I've maybe won once out of like the 20 times I've played this game, but I'm going to play it again and again and again until the end of time and hopefully finish every time unless Tim's there, he decides to tear it down.
This is probably because you're the only one here, Adam, who actually knows anything about the airline industry. So you're probably sitting there going, I can't possibly do this because a real airline wouldn't do that. A real airline wouldn't go from Portugal to, I don't know, Timbuktu.
This route isn't economically feasible, Chris. Come on.
Such a great game.
Adam, let it go.
I can't. I will never let that go.
All right. Well, now that we're at number 1, this was not even a hard decision for me. In fact, when we talked about this as being the segment, the topic for tonight, this one was so obvious to me that I had to pick it as my number 1 game that I suck at really, really badly. Number 1 is Agricola by Uwe Rosenberg and published by Lookout Games. I said it a million times on the show. And it's still true no matter how many times I play this game, which is dozens at this point. This is another one that I have constant rotation on BGA. And I have people with like 0 ELO ratings who crush me. And I'll get on there and I'll be like, okay, finally somebody that I can probably beat, and they'll make like 2 or 3 moves, and I'm like, haha, clearly they don't know what they're doing, and now they'll die. I'll steal all their sheep and this and that and the other thing. And then by the end of it, they'll have like 60 points and I'll be at 30 points. And I'm like, what just happened? No, this one, I think this one psychs me out because the economy is so tight that it's so difficult to get anything done, that I get into this sort of internal analysis paralysis where I go in with these like grand ideas about how I'm going to proceed. And I draft all these cards because I have this like great plan that I'm going to get all these ones that are around the day laborer spot, or all these cards that let me do things with brick. And then I'm going to have a big brick strategy and it's going to be great. And then I start doing things and I'm like, oh crap. But if I do all that, then I won't be able to get any sheep, or I won't be able to get any food, or I won't be able to feed my people, or how am I going to have babies? Like all these things. And now I'm like flailing around trying to like do everything, when in this game, you just can't do everything. You got to do some things and you can't do others. Or maybe that's the whole thing. Maybe you really can do everything and I just don't know how to get it done. But this game is so tight, so demanding, so punishing that I flail every time. And yet I keep coming back. I keep letting this game abuse me. Or maybe it's the game and all these sad little 0 ELO people keep abusing me. And I'm so embarrassed and ashamed. I'm just going to go die now.
Chris is really bad at this game.
It's okay. It's okay, Chris.
So this is a game where when you play, you don't play in a vacuum. Like if one person's doing well, it means other people are not doing well, because they're clearly taking things that everybody needed, in this game. And I have had all of my highest scores playing 2-player games with Chris in this, because I can just do everything I want to when I play with
So first
Chris
of all, let's just be clear. I mean, this game is set in medieval Europe. They didn't even have vacuums. So of course you don't play. That's part of the problem.
This is a game that I know I'll be bad at it every single time I play. I don't know what to do in this game. I don't know what to do. So I stay away. I avoid this game at all costs. I don't want to be in Chris's position. I don't want to learn to love this game. Everyone says it's fantastic. I'm sure it is fantastic. I don't want to get hooked on it because I don't want to be where Chris is, in the doldrums of not having babies and having his sheep stolen and not being able to build a fence. You can build fences in this thing too, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not Chris can't.
I can't.
Staying away from Agricola.
It's funny. I thought I was so good at this game. I was playing a lot with Chris. I was playing with you guys. I played with, Danielle and Jen here, and I was always doing really well at this game. And I've been in a regular running 4-player game of this with my local friend Mark and a couple of his long distance friends. We've been playing on Board Game Arena, and I am in last place every single game at this. So I used to think I was good at it, but it clearly depends on who you're playing against, because I just get my butt handed to me by these guys.
Don't judge that by playing with me.
All right. Well, it's a game that I'm terrible at and Chris is great at. I have a record with this game. I played 10 games with Chris, the only 10 games I ever played of this. We tied, both losing one of them, and I lost the other 9. So that's my record with Clank Legacy. Now, I love Clank, and I have a pretty decent record with every Clank in the series except for Clank Legacy. I don't know what happened with this game. It's a competitive, semi-cooperative, competitive legacy game, meaning you are kind of working together for some general goals to survive, but you are scoring and you're trying to win, play your own game and win. And every single time I played with Chris, he just stomped me every single game. And it's not even like there's a big buildup. If you win one game in the legacy game, you get all kinds of benefits, so you're stronger for the next one. It was nothing like that. I never felt like I was at a negative starting out each of these games. Every single one of them, I was like, I've got a chance. I know I could come back and win this game. And somehow just got my butt handed to me every single game in the campaign. But it was a fantastic game, so I'd go back and play it again. But for some reason, I'm terrible at it.
That was going to be my question. You answered it already. I thought, we talked about a little bit of legacy games where somebody could get an edge up and then they kind of have the advantage of the rest of the series. But it sounds like that wasn't a huge issue here.
No, I don't think so. There were a couple things where if you played really poorly, you could get negative things, but I was doing fine other than against Chris's score. Like I was winning. I wasn't getting knocked out in the games. I was making it back home. I was getting the things I needed to, but Chris just always did a little bit better than me and everyone.
So Chris just a savvy Clank acquisitioner.
I don't know, because I think I told you guys this, but this last Christmas time, I got Clank Legacy, and Rachel and I played the full campaign over the course of like a week. And the same thing happened to me that happened to Tim when Tim and I played it. I won, I think, one game, and the rest of them, she slaughtered me. I mean, it wasn't even like close. So I don't know.
So I'm just the bottom of the barrel. All right, cool. That was fun. Did you guys have any runners up or anything else you wanted to mention on this topic?
I had a couple runners up. I didn't include these because I've really only played them like one time, really. So Battle for Rokugan, that's a game that I love. We played this one in
Portland.
Yeah, somewhere. Portland. And it was great. We got it set up. You guys were all killing it. I think Chris and Steve were fighting over some island in the southeast side of the map. But at least you guys were getting these little bonus territory cards. I think Tim just crushed me out of the way and kind of swept me aside in the middle of the map. I didn't have any of these bonus territory cards. I was just trying to get some semblance of something going. All of my chips were getting rooted out. You guys would outbid me, outplay me in this Battle for Rokugan. What a fun game. You put your chips out, you're having this reveal, and then it's a little bit of area control, but it's quick, it's light, it's approachable, and the game is over in a jiffy, and I am in last place. But I love this game, Battle for Rokugan. Only played it the one time, so maybe there's hope for my future. Skyrise is another one I've only played the one time. Putting your upside down buildings out there. I love the auction, the little snaky auction, trying to get the majorities, but there's a bunch of ways to pick up points in this game that I didn't pick up any of them. And again, Sarah paid attention. She did pick up all the points in this one. Like lapped everybody. My dad and I lapped her. She lapped us. She was laughing all the way to the most pretty skyline in Skyrise. Great game. I want to show that one to you guys. It's cool.
My runner-up is Rising Sun, designed by Eric Lang and published by Simon Games. This is one where I've played it a couple times only, so I don't want to, draw too many conclusions, but I embarrassed myself, I think, both times that I played it. And the only reason it didn't make my actual list is because I do feel like I'm pretty bad at this, and probably for the same reasons I was talking about with Eclipse, that I just don't have a natural ability at area control games. I'm too much of a wimp. But I don't like this game that much. This is supposed to be about games that we really like and keep coming back to. I don't want to keep coming back to Rising Sun, which is ironic because I love Eric Lang games. This is one of the rare Eric Lang games that I actually don't care for too much. But I definitely am not good at it. So it's like sort of half on the list, half off.
It's funny. I just introduced a friend to Blood Rage this week for the first time. My friend Mark, who I was telling you kicks my butt at Agricola and Yokohama and Marco Polo. So we played a 3-player game of Blood Rage, and he ended the game with 10 points.
Oh,
I had 110, and our other friend had 170 points. But 10 points in a game of Blood Rage is like almost impossible to get that low. But then I was thinking of Chris's game of Rising Sun, where he had 0 points coming into the end game scoring.
Can you get negative points?
Mark, I feel for you. The first time these guys showed me Blood Rage, I was in love with the game, but I think I ended with sub 20 points in there. It can be brutal if you're if you don't get the clever card draw or to do the draft just right. You're kind of flailing around. Well, Loki, what sea serpents? What am I supposed to do with this boat? Costs way too much money to use this thing. So yeah, Blood Rage can be harsh. Just like Rising Sun, Chris, I don't know what happens to you in Rising Sun. You just get washed away.
I get stupid.
Luckily, Mark did seem to like it because he texted me the next day and he's like, I can't let it sit with only 10 points, losing that bad in a game. So he's like, next time you guys do a BGA game, invite me to one of them. So I have to give it a try. I think he did get excited because there was one moment in the game where he threw off a surprise win. Like we had a huge combat. I was the clear leader in it, and he played a card, and you could see it was like smiling ear to ear after that combat.
That's all it takes. That one clever play, and you're like, I'm coming back to this one. It's a game could do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have any runners up. I actually had a hard time making this list, not because I think I'm really good at games, but I was looking through my list of games and I'm generally okay, like all the other ones. There was nothing else. These 5, I'm just terrible records at, so they really stood out to me, but I didn't have a lot of others that I could go to. Maybe is there anything you guys think of that I always seem to lose at, or you're like, oh, Tim's playing, this will be an easy one?
Well, you complain the most about Eclipse, but I think you've had a few victories in that one.
Yeah, I had a pretty good record on that one for a little while until you guys learned my strategies on it. But
Tim complains about a lot of games, though.
We should do a list about games that Tim complains about the most. That'd be like a 10 to 20 game list there.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap up this topic. I do have a nice review somebody left us on Apple Podcasts, so I want to give a shout out to that listener this week. Aggie E in Canada left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. The headline was Great Pod. And they said, I've been listening to your back catalog and really enjoying this pod. Great banter, concise descriptions, real passion, and honesty about your experiences. Great to hear an episode where you changed your minds on games. I need at least 3 plays to make my mind up. And I think they were talking about our recent Wrong Hot Takes episode, which I thought was a great episode to revisit. And I've already been thinking about some other games that I would want to add on a future one if we do that. So we'll have to do that one again at some point. In any case, thank you so much, Aggie, for a wonderful review. Shout out to Canada for solidarity here. I was looking back after last week's Argentinian review, all of our past kind of where our reviews are coming from. And Canada's got a pretty nice showing. So thanks for joining in on that. If you enjoy the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. You can always follow us on Blue Sky, on our Facebook group, or on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/boardgamehottakes. Until next week, take care, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
It is Agricola, designed by Uwe Raisin.
Raisenberg is a much better name.
Raisin House.
It's Wooey! Raisenberg.